The story kicks off in the fictional North African nation of Wadia. A baby named Aladdin is born there. Tragically, Aladdin's mother is killed shortly after his birth, and just 7 years later, his father, a notoriously cruel ruler, is also assassinated. This makes Aladdin the new ruler at the tender age of 7. Time flies, and Aladdin is now all grown up. He's just like his father, doing whatever pops into his head. With his massive wealth, Aladdin hosts the Olympics in his own country, and he even competes. During a running event, whenever other runners start to pull ahead, he simply shoots them in the legs so he can take first place. This is how he manages to win 14 medals in the Olympic Games. He's also set multiple world records this way. Stepping outside his palace, Aladdin addresses his people, declaring that the world will bow before them. He boasts, "In 2 months, we'll have a nuclear weapon ready, not to attack anyone, but for peace." He laughs, letting everyone know he's totally lying. After his speech, he heads to his nuclear weapon research center. His uncle, Tammir, arrives. Whenever they meet, Tammir is forced to kiss Aladdin under his armpit. That's one of Aladdin's rules. Aladdin then goes inside and is furious to see how tiny his missile is. He demands that his chief scientist, Nadal, be summoned. The other scientists remind him that he had Nadal killed the last time he visited 2 years ago. Aladdin has no memory of this. After racking his brain, Aladdin finally recalls that when he visited 2 years earlier, Nadal had shown him a missile that wasn't pointed on top, it was rounded. Aladdin had insisted that missiles need to be pointy on top. Nadal countered that Aladdin must be watching too many cartoons, because that's the only place they look like that. Aladdin tries to act like he doesn't watch cartoons, but Nadal pushes it again, saying that only happens in cartoons. Enraged, Aladdin makes a gesture that signals for the man to be killed, and Nadal is executed. Back in the present, one of the remaining scientists suggests that Aladdin might have forgotten the incident. As Aladdin is leaving, he makes the same killing gesture toward that scientist, who is then also executed. Uncle Tammir then suggests to Aladdin, "Why don't we tell the world that we don't have any nuclear power? That way, all the sanctions on us will be lifted, and we can export our oil." Aladdin responds that his father made him promise before he died that Wadia's oil would never leave the country. He explains that this is why his father handed the regime over to him, even though Tammir was the rightful heir. Aladdin then adds that he's glad Tammir never seemed bothered by this fact. Aladdin departs and arrives outside his palace, where his security team is made up entirely of women. Suddenly, a man shoots and kills him. We soon learn that this wasn't the real Aladdin, but a body double. Aladdin always keeps a decoy with him so that any attack hits the double first. The real Aladdin is so oblivious that he looks at the corpse of his double and orders him to get up. When the double doesn't move, Aladdin signals for Uncle Tammir to have him executed too, and then leaves. Tammir calls someone, saying Aladdin escaped again, but he has another plan. He needs to find another, more compliant body double. It turns out Tammir is actually plotting to have Aladdin killed so he can seize power, sell off Wadia's oil abroad, and make a fortune. They start searching for a new Aladdin double and find a shepherd who looks exactly like him. However, this shepherd is just as clueless as Aladdin. Meanwhile, Aladdin spends the night with Megan Fox, a famous Hollywood actress. He takes a photo with her and hangs it on a wall full of pictures of other women he's spent time with, showing he's a huge ladies' man. The next day, as Aladdin plays a video game, Uncle Tammir arrives with bad news. The United Nations demands that Aladdin explain his nuclear weapons program and give them a response. If he refuses to go, they will send in their army and take over Wadia. Aladdin decides to go to America, where he is met by Americans chanting protests against him. The Americans want democracy in Wadia, an end to cruelty, and no more oppression of the people. Aladdin, however, thinks everyone is cheering for him. Aladdin's security is extremely tight, and his security officer, Clifton, absolutely hates him. That night, while Aladdin is asleep, a shadow appears. It's Clifton. Clifton kidnaps Aladdin and takes him to a torture room. He shows Aladdin all the tools he plans to use for torture and murder, but Aladdin mocks every single one of them. This infuriates Clifton, who cuts off Aladdin's beard and then lights it on fire. As the beard burns, Clifton's clothes also catch fire. The fire burns through the ropes binding Aladdin's hands. Aladdin has to take off his burning pants and flee. Since his beard is gone, no one recognizes Aladdin. The next day, he goes to the place where his speech is supposed to happen. A huge crowd is there, all protesting him. He then sees his body double arriving with his uncle in a car. Aladdin realizes that the shepherd, whom Uncle Tammir made his decoy back in Wadia, is part of his uncle's scheme. The body double gives a speech, announcing that in 5 days, he will completely and permanently end the dictatorship in Wadia. This completely freaks out Aladdin, who shouts that dictatorship can never end in Wadia. He jumps over a railing, trying to get to the United Nations members to tell them that he is the real Aladdin and will never bring democracy to Wadia. Before he can reach the meeting, the security attacks him and he falls. A woman named Zoe helps him. She puts him on her scooter and takes him to her shop. Feeling sorry for him, Zoe asks him if he would work in her shop. Aladdin scoffs, saying, "Me? Work in your shop? Never," and leaves. Aladdin is now wandering the streets, struggling. He looks in a mirror and sees Nadal, the scientist he ordered killed 2 years ago. Nadal is alive, and Aladdin follows him to a bar. The bar is a spot only for people who hate Aladdin. Aladdin goes inside, and a man working there recognizes him and tells everyone that this man is Aladdin. All the patrons were people who were once in Wadia and whom Aladdin had ordered to be killed. Everyone starts attacking Aladdin. Nadal steps in and saves him, claiming Aladdin is his cousin. Nadal had recognized him. They sit at a table, and Aladdin tells Nadal that his uncle Tamir betrayed him and now wants democracy in Wadia, replacing the dictatorship. Aladdin doesn't want that and asks Nadal for help. Nadal agrees, but only if Aladdin gives him his old job back. Nadal also doesn't want the dictatorship in Wadia to end. He reveals that none of the people Aladdin ordered killed were ever actually killed. They all work right there. The next day, Aladdin and Nadal arrive near the hotel where the body double is staying. A large crowd is gathered there. Tamir shows up and announces that in 3 days, Wadia's new constitution will be read at that very spot. Aladdin spots Zoe and tries to hide. Nadal asks why he's hiding, and Aladdin tells him it's because of that girl. Nadal suggests that if Aladdin knows her, she can help them get inside the hotel, as she has the catering contract for the event. Reluctantly, Aladdin has to work at Zoe's shop. A young customer is being mischievous, and Aladdin can't tolerate it, so he kicks the child to the ground. Despite his situation, Aladdin keeps doing all the wrong things. Nadal calls him and takes him on a tourist helicopter tour of the city. They are joined by 2 Americans. Initially, Aladdin and Nadal are very friendly and act proud to be Americans. Moments later, they start talking to each other in their own language, mentioning Osama bin Laden and 9/11. It turns out Osama bin Laden had forcibly moved into Aladdin's guest house after September 11 and is still there. They aren't Aladdin's friends. When the 2 men casually say 9/11 in their language, Aladdin unzips his jacket. It looks like he has bombs strapped to his body. The 2 Americans scream, and then Aladdin and Nadal are locked up in jail. Zoe shows up a little later and fights with the police for Aladdin. Seeing her fight for him makes Aladdin start to like her, and he hugs her. News of their arrest is on TV, which Uncle Tamir sees, confirming that Aladdin is still alive. Aladdin is now in love with Zoe and asks to spend the night with her, but she refuses. However, Aladdin enjoys living with her and being around her. He completely remodels her shop and treats every customer with exceptional care. Zoe is very impressed by this. Nadal calls Aladdin and tells him the plan is set. They will use the catering supplies as a way to sneak into the hotel. Once inside, they will replace the fake Aladdin with the real one so that the new constitution, which would turn Wadia into a democratic country, can never be read. That night, as the fake Aladdin sleeps, his uncle sends the most powerful woman on his security team to kill him. She also fails to recognize the real Aladdin, and he kills her. The next morning, a food inspector comes to Zoe's shop. He sees the state of the shop and threatens to cancel her license because Aladdin had said things that violated the rules. Zoe is devastated about the impending cancellation. The very next day, Aladdin kidnaps the food inspector's family. This forces the food inspector to give the shop a certification. Aladdin then releases his family. Aladdin continues to transform Zoe's shop. One day, a woman goes into labor there. They don't have time to get her to a hospital. Aladdin doesn't know how to deliver a baby, but he does it anyway. The baby is born completely healthy and safe. Zoe is totally impressed by this and falls in love with him. She tells Aladdin she wants to spend the rest of her life with him. Aladdin tells her, "Before that, I need to tell you the truth about my life." He says, "My name is not Ellison. It is Admiral General Aladdin." He had been using the name Ellison. Zoe doesn't believe him. When Aladdin puts on his fake beard, she realizes he's telling the truth. She's angry, accusing him of deceiving and using her. Even though they love each other, Zoe tells him to leave, and Aladdin goes. His heart is completely changed now. He sees a TV and realizes that the people of Wadia are happy and don't want a dictatorship. Aladdin feels like no one likes or loves him. He decides to take his own life. He is about to jump off a bridge when Nadal appears. Nadal tells him, "You think people don't like you, but Wadia needs you. It needs a dictator." Aladdin's hand slips, but Nadal grabs him and pulls him up before he falls off the bridge. The next morning, the new constitution for Wadia is about to be read. Aladdin and Nadal manage to get into the hotel where the body double is staying. The double is totally unaware of the plan and thinks everything he's doing is what Aladdin wants. He's even more clueless than Aladdin. Aladdin tells him to leave. Aladdin then joins his uncle Tamir on the stage where the constitution is to be read. He tears up the paper that states Wadia will become a democracy. He tells his men to arrest Tamir. He is about to declare that Wadia will remain a dictatorship forever, but then Zoe arrives. She has tears in her eyes, and seeing her melts Aladdin's heart. He announces that Wadia will no longer be a dictatorship, but will have a democracy. Everyone is thrilled, and Zoe runs to hug him. Suddenly, Tamir seizes the opportunity and shoots at Aladdin. The body double jumps in front of Aladdin, taking the bullet. He isn't killed, though. He's still alive. Aladdin tells Zoe that he's going back to Wadia to hold elections. We flash forward 1 year. Aladdin has won the election by 98,989 votes. The people of Wadia didn't want to vote for him, but he managed to secure all the votes through his own efforts. He then marries marries Zoe, she tells him she is Jewish, which completely shocks him. This is because he has always hated the Jewish people and their country, Israel, and wanted to destroy it. Now, he has nothing to say. We also see Osama bin Laden. Another year passes. During a television interview, Zoe announces that she is pregnant. Aladdin is happy but asks on live TV, is it a boy or an abortion? And with that moment, the movie ends. Love the video? A quick like, share, and subscribe would be huge for the channel.